The FBI in Peace and War. Another great story based on Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War. Drama, thrills, action. Tonight's story, The Courier.
So then he says, now remember, Eddie, you're not taking that doll along with you. This is strictly a business trip. I give him a straight face and I say, what do you think, Gus? I'm out of my mind.
Oh, that Gussie kills me.
Yeah. So anyway, he says, I'm just telling you, that's all. Keep away from her. She's a troublemaker.
Am I?
Well, I was going to say maybe you'll get a big surprise someday when this doll is Mrs. Eddie Branner, but I figured, why should he know my business? You got 50 cents for the bridge?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, when we get on the other side, you watch for Route 202. That'll take us to Harrisburg.
Is that where we get the turnpike?
Yep, straight into Pittsburgh.
I've never been to Pittsburgh.
It'll be dark when we get there. You'll probably fall asleep.
Probably. Do we have to go all the way, Eddie? In one night?
Yeah.
Straight ahead for 202. How far is it from Pittsburgh to Toledo?
Oh, a couple of hundred, I guess.
Where do you have to meet this guy in Toledo?
I don't know. When I get in, I call a phone number. He tells me.
What are they giving you for this job, Eddie?
Enough?
How much is enough?
$3.50.
$3.50?
Look, it only takes a day there and a day back, Muriel.
What about the chances you take?
Let's not talk about it, huh?
$3.50.
Look, I'm only making a delivery, that's all.
For what? Supposing you get caught with a suitcase full of hot jewelry, what then?
Muriel.
Hmm?
Stop fishing, huh?
So what have you got in the suitcase? Oh, come on, Eddie. You can tell me. What difference does it make?
It's not jewelry.
Well, what then?
Bonds. Government bonds.
Government bonds?
Yeah. Now, look, Muriel,
Where'd they get
please.
government bonds? I thought
They
were
got them
just...
in that bank stick-up a couple of months ago. The bonds were on the teller's desk, so they took them along.
Huh. What good are they, Eddie? How can they get rid of them?
Well, this guy we're meeting buys them at a discount. He changes the serial numbers, and then he sells them to small-time operators around Toledo and Chicago. They cash them in at local banks.
In cash 'em?
Yeah, sure. All you got to have is identification. They're all small denomination, $50, $100 a piece.
How much altogether?
Muriel,
Oh,
look.
what difference does it make if you tell me?
I don't know how much. Said in the newspaper they got 41,000 worth. Anyway, who cares? It's not our dough.
No, it's not.
Now, we're not on 202 anymore. We're on 36. I thought you were going to watch the road.
I'm sorry, Eddie. I guess I was thinking of something else.
Sure were.
There's some signs up at the stoplight. We can't be far off.
Well, okay, but you stick to your job from now on. Understand?
41,000. It's a lot of government bonds, isn't it, Eddie?
The holdup of the Second National Bank of Keyport, New York, netted $35,000 in cash and slightly more in government E-bonds that were being prepared for a factory payroll deduction plan. The robbery was a fast professional job, carried out by three men whose faces were masked completely. There were no obvious clues to their identity, and 2 months after the robbery, everyone but our agents working on the case credited the holdup men with a perfect hit.
Hello. I just got in from New York. I was told to call this number.
Yeah, I've been waiting for you. Look, you better hang around town a couple of days. I got a tip to stay where I am.
You can't meet me?
Not tonight. Call me here tomorrow. We'll see how it looks.
Okay. Do I have to check with New York on this?
They know.
All right, I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, you do that.
Did you get him?
Yeah. Gotta hang around here a couple of days. You can't meet me yet. Hey, Mac, another beer over here. You want another one?
No. Eddie,
Yeah?
you don't believe in things happening like they're supposed to, do you?
Now, look, Muriel.
Don't you see how it's working out? If you don't have to meet this guy tonight,
Now, cut it out. Do you hear me? And I mean that.
it's the biggest thing that'll ever come your way, Eddie. In your whole life, nothing will ever be bigger.
Will you forget it, Muriel, or I'm going to send you back on a train?
You get married, like you said, and after 6 months...
No, do you hear me? Oh, thanks, Mac. Here, keep the change.
After 6 months, we could start cashing them just a few at a time.
That's not my line, Muriel.
Well, what is your line? You're going to be a delivery boy all your life?
Hey, now listen.
That's what you are, isn't it? A high-class delivery boy?
Well, if you don't like what I am, go back to that two-bit floor show where I got you.
Eddie, $41,000 worth of bonds. We could take 4 or 5 years to get rid of them if we wanted to and still live on top of the heap. Don't you see, Eddie, you'd be your own boss. You wouldn't have to be pushed around by Gus or run errands.
Muriel, will you talk sense? They'd come after me no matter what. You think they'd just sit there and take
It's
it?
a big country. We could keep moving.
You can't cash a bond just like that,
So
Muriel.
we'd stay in one place till they knew us a little and cash a couple of thousand and then move on.
No, it wouldn't work.
If it'll work for small-time operators around Toledo, it'll work for us.
Muriel, look.
All right. If you haven't got the nerve, forget it.
No, it isn't that.
It's all right, Eddie. Maybe you're not ready for the big time. Sorry I mentioned it.
Now, look, what I
But
meant
do you think
was...
I could have 30 cents worth of beer out of that $3.50 they're paying you?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Mac, one more over here. Look, Muriel, I'll tell you what.
Never mind, Eddie. Let's have some fun while we're out here. I'm sorry I brought it up. It was a lousy idea.
I didn't say it was a lousy idea. I said
How
it was
about
risky.
putting another dime in the jukebox? I feel like more music.
It is risky, isn't it?
Yeah, sure it is.
So what?
Every business is risky.
Now, what do you want me to do, Muriel?
Nothing. But you could be thinking it over, couldn't you?
Since the robbery of the Keyport Bank came under more than one jurisdiction, other agencies of the government were also working on the case. 4 months after the robbery, 5 government E-bonds were cashed in Denton, Ohio, and were soon identified as part of the Keyport job. When this information was given to us, Agent Reynolds and I flew to Denton and talked with all of the people who had come in contact with the man who cashed the bonds.
And he was sent to you by Mrs. Garner at the Main Avenue Apartments. Is that right, Doctor?
That's right.
Mrs. Garner is one of your patients.
Oh, yes, for many years.
Doctor, what was wrong with the man? Why did he come to see you?
Well, actually, nothing was wrong with him. He had a case of overworked nerves, and the symptom was a mild skin rash.
Did you prescribe for him, Doctor?
As much as you can on a thing like that. I gave him a few pills to slow down his energy and told him to go home and stop worrying.
When was that, Doctor?
Several months ago, I believe, when he first came to Denton.
Did you see him more than once, Doctor?
Yes, he was in here several times. He didn't take my advice about not worrying.
Was his wife ever with him?
Yes, on the first visit. She didn't seem to be altogether sympathetic toward his ailment.
How did he approach you, Doctor, about giving him a note to your bank?
Well, as far as I can remember, he said he was having trouble getting a job and he'd have to cash one of his savings bonds. Since he wasn't known in Denton, he wondered if I could give him a note to the bank. He showed me a $100 E-bond that he wanted to cash. Actually, I understand he cashed 5 of these bonds.
That's right.
Doctor, we've written down the descriptions of the man and his wife that various people have given to us. We think we're getting a pretty accurate physical condition. Picture. Would you mind adding what you can to this?
Well, not at all. I can give you a few facts about my patient. I took down his medical history, as much as he'd tell me.
That would be extremely helpful.
I imagine so. Well, here we are. Branner, Edward, age 29, height 5 feet 10, weight 160, childhood illnesses, whooping cough, measles, operations, tonsillectomy, age 12.
With very accurate descriptions of Edward Branner and his wife, a composite picture of the couple was drawn by one of our agents and sent to law enforcement officers throughout the country. The Brenners were moving around a good deal, taking care to cash only a few bonds at each stop. And their method of obtaining identifications at a bank didn't seem to vary.
So I said, well, after all, Eddie, you saved those bonds for a rainy day, and what are they for if you can't use them?
You were right, dear.
Of course I was. How about another glass of beer, Mrs. Turner?
Oh, no, I couldn't really. I got 2 more rooms to clean.
Oh, come on. You work too hard.
Well, maybe a short one, but, I really shouldn't.
You won't sweep under the beds this time. We'll know the difference.
Oh, if you were renting out rooms, you wouldn't be asking a question like that.
Okay, have a beer anyway.
The things you have to put up with in renting, you just wouldn't believe.
I'll bet.
Sometimes I say to myself, why don't I just give up renting and go live with my sister in Jacksonville, work and slave all day long for what?
You're not kidding.
I don't know why I do it, honest, I don't. Well, here's good health to you, Miss Branner.
Same to you.
Well, Gotta go now. There's no two ways about it.
Okay.
I wouldn't leave your door unlocked if you got bonds in here, Miss Brenner.
Thanks, I won't.
Not that I don't have a fine class of people, but you just can't be too careful.
You're right, but we'll cash these today if the bank will take them.
Government savings bonds? I should think they would.
Probably, but it says on the back you have to identify yourself. And we've only been in town a few weeks. I can't very well ask somebody to identify me at the bank.
Well, why not? You're you, aren't you?
Well, I think I am, but I can't prove it.
Well, now, you just go down to the River Street Bank and tell them I sent you.
Well, maybe I'll do that.
Sure. Tell them you're the only boarders I ever had who paid ahead of time.
All right, I will. I'll tell them to call you, huh?
Any time, Miss Branner. Uh-oh, here's your husband.
Hello, handsome. Any luck?
No luck. Oh, hello, Mrs. Turner.
Hello, Mr. Branner. Well, I'll be seeing you later, Miss Branner.
Thanks for keeping me company. I'm sorry I kept you from your work.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
She's going to set us up at the bank, Eddie. I
Never
told
mind
her.
the bank. Pack your things right away. We got to get out of here.
Get out, why?
Joey Mason, that's why.
Who?
Mason, Joey Mason. I told you they'd be after me, Muriel. I told you the whole country wasn't big
Who's
enough.
Joey Mason?
He's a paid hatchet man, a friend of Gus. Now, come on, will you pack your stuff?
How could anybody
Will you
know?
shut up and stop asking stupid questions? I got contacts everywhere. Somebody must have spotted me and phoned Gus.
Just when I got everything set, wouldn't you know?
Don't answer that. Never mind the clothes. We'll go down through the kitchen. The car's in the back. Come on, let's get out of here.
For several months after our investigation at Denton, Ohio, no further bonds turned up in Midwestern banks. For some reason, the couple who had been cashing them seemed to have dropped out of sight. Since the robbery, only $8,500 out of the original $41,000 had been cashed.
Maybe if I mailed the rest of them back to Gus, we only cashed $8,500. If I mailed the rest,
You should mail him your head. That's what he wants, isn't it?
No, why don't you cut out that kind of talk? Just cut it out, huh?
All right. Going for a ride in the car.
If you are not, you're going to stay right here.
Now
You wait till
look.
tonight, Muriel. I'm not taking any chances.
You really got it bad, haven't you?
I haven't got anything bad. I'm just being careful, that's all.
I'll see you later.
I said you're not going out.
Eddie! I will not sit in a crummy, furnished room day in and day out.
Now, look, I can't take chances, Muriel.
Okay, give me my fare back east. I'm fed up with this whole deal.
Muriel.
I'm fed up with it. One crummy room after the next, nothing to do, no place to go. 3 months, I haven't even seen a movie.
All right. All right, go on out there. Let him see you. Let him put a slug through your skull.
I will if you'll get away from the door.
Muriel, don't go. Wait till later, baby. Wait till it gets dark, huh? I feel better when you're here.
I don't feel better.
If you'll just be patient, just a little longer.
3 months since you saw Joey Mason. When are you going to stop shaking it?
All right. Go take a ride. Stop in the drugstore, see if you can get some kind of ointment. This rash is killing me.
Okay.
Haven't got any of those pills left, have I? The ones from the doctor?
You ask me that twice a week, and twice a week I tell you no.
I ought to call him up and have him mail me a prescription.
I'll see if there's some kind of ointment.
Now, Muriel, don't be long, will you?
Okay.
You got the key to the car?
Yeah, I got it.
Hello, Mrs. Brenner. Come in, close the door a minute. I want to talk to you. Do what I tell you, Mrs. Brenner. I'm not kidding around. Okay. Now, before we go in and see your husband, suppose you tell me where he has those government bonds. It'll be easier that way.
Our break in the Keyport Bank case came just about 6 months after the robbery. As part of our routine, we had asked the doctor in Denton, Ohio, to be on the alert in case he ever heard from his patient. On the afternoon of February 3rd, 1953, the doctor received a long-distance call from Phillipsburg, Illinois.
Yes, this is Dr. Walsh.
Doctor, this is Edward Branner. I don't know whether you remember me, but...
Oh, yes, of course I remember you, Mr. Branner. How are you?
Well, I'm not so good, Doctor. I've been thinking of coming down here to see you, but I've been too busy. I was wondering, Doc, whether you could send me a prescription of those pills you gave me.
I'll be glad to. Where shall I send it?
Where? Well, I don't know exactly where I'll be the next couple of days. Could you send it to General Delivery, Phillipsburg?
Yes, of course I could, but...
Phillipsburg, Illinois.
Oh, yes, of course I could do that, Mr. Branner, but if that rash is bothering you, I could phone your local drugstore, and you could have the medication this afternoon.
Oh, I could?
Yes, of course. I'll give them the prescription over the phone.
Oh, gee, that'll be swell, Doc. Hold on a second, will you? I'll look up their number in the book.
All right, Mr. Branner, and while you're doing that, let me get your file. Miss Castine, go next door to Dr. Harvey's office. Call the police and tell them to put a tracer on our number right away. I'm talking to the man they want for the Keyport bank robbery. 4020 Main Street, Charlie. We got a phone tip on the Eddie Branner, the one they want for the New York bank job. Come on now, step onto this. Some doctor's stalling him on the phone till we get there.
Yeah? Who is it?
Me, Eddie. I forgot the key to the car.
I asked you just before you left.
Go ahead in, Mrs. Brenner.
Joey.
Yeah. Sit over there, Mrs. Brenner. She told me where you got the bonds, Eddie. Let's have them. Come on, I haven't got all day.
Joey, I want to tell you something. I wasn't going to cash the rest of those bonds. I swear I wasn't.
Save your breath, Eddie.
You can ask her, Joe. Just a little while ago, I was saying I shouldn't have played a lousy trick like that on Gus.
Yeah, I know. Spread those out so I can get an idea how many is left.
Now, Joey, I'm telling you the truth. I don't know what got into me, Joe. I mean, about the bonds, I just cashed one of them.
Look,
you see?
what are you giving me all this wind for? What do I care what you did to Gus?
Joe, how about giving me a break? Huh? Look, I still got a couple of thousand in a bank in Ohio. You could have that, Joe, huh?
I'm getting paid. Don't worry.
Joe, please, give me a break, huh?
Why?
I never did anything to you, Joe. Listen, remember that time we went down to Hialeah? Remember I drove you
You
and
sure
Gus?
can talk a lot, can't you?
Why don't you give me a break, Joe, huh?
What are you to me?
Will you talk to him?
You already did. I heard enough out of her. Okay, let's go to both of you. She drives, you sit in the front with her.
Where are we going?
Out of town someplace.
Joe, look, you got the bonds. Couldn't you tell him? You took care of me? Muriel, show him that bank book. You got the book? Show it to him.
I haven't got it.
Oh, what'd you do with it? Where is it?
Never mind, Eddie.
No, wait. Please, Joe, let me show it to you. There's $2,380 in there, Joe. Here it is. Look, Joe, $2,380. Here, take it, Joey. Go on.
Come on, we're wasting time.
Now, Joey.
Let's go, Eddie. You too, Mrs. Brenner. Guess I don't have to mind the both of you if you make one phony move. Get back in. Anybody know you're here?
How could they?
Maybe they don't want you. Go back to the room.
Edward Branner?
Hey, maybe.
Shut up.
Edward Branner. This is a police officer. Come out of there with your hands up. We're giving you 2 minutes, Branner. Come quietly with your hands up.
Looks like you got yourself a break, Eddie. Go ahead out there. I'll go up on the roof. Wait till they go.
Okay. Come on, Muriel. Muriel.
They just want you, Eddie.
Okay. I'm Edward Branner. I'm coming. I'm Edward Branner. My wife is in there. There's a man with her. His name is Joe Mason. He's with the Gus Meyer gang that took the Keyport Bank. They're coming in for you, Joey. They're coming in for you.
A few minutes after Eddie Branner's surrender, Joe Mason was killed in a gun battle with the Phillipsburg police. Branner turned state's evidence, leading to the roundup of the Gus Meyer gang. Branner and his wife pled guilty to receiving stolen property and were sentenced to 5 years each. Meyer and 4 other members of his gang, 20 years each. Our files are closed on the Courier.
In tonight's story, Elspeth Eric played the part of Muriel Branner. Larry Haynes was Eddie Branner. This radio dramatization for the FBI in Peace and War was written by Louis Pelletier. These programs are produced and directed by Betty Mandeville. All names and characters used on the program are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. This program is based upon Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War, and the broadcast does not imply endorsement, authorization, or approval by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
We pause Pause now for station identification.